I'm 13, about to be 14.
So as you know, we're doing this for Real Talk with Miss Masood on YouTube, and we're going to be talking about anything that you wish we could have spoken about more or learned about more that we didn't get the chance to. So why don't you tell our audience what it is that you think we should have learned more about?
So I think that we should have learned more life skills that would have been good to learn now that we would need. And also a really important thing is how we portray ourselves on the internet. When we're younger, we're less mature and we say things that could get us in trouble when we're older.
Mm-hmm.
So I some jobs have turned down people because of things that they found. So it's really important that we watch what we say.
How do you think that we can get kids to do that? Because I think it's probably really tempting to be however you want to be on the internet because there's not as much supervision and you kind of have some freedom. You can hide behind, the keyboard and screen. So it's easy to do. So how do you think we get kids to do that?
I think that in school, it should be a main thing that we learn about. And especially now that internet's becoming really big. And that's that's how we learned for a full year, the internet. And we could teach kids what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, from a younger age.
You're kind of at the prime age of someone who would probably be very heavily involved with social media and the internet and very comfortably using it. So as someone who's kind of behind the scenes of kids your age, what do you notice? What are you seeing?
I mean, I've definitely seen kids saying really inappropriate things like slurs. I've seen bullying. I've seen everything, and people have been suspended for that stuff. And it's going to stay on the internet for a while.
Why do you think teaching about that in school would help change that? Do you think it would really make a difference?
I think it would because not only would it help kids as when they're older, it would also help kids be nicer, overall just nicer people, because I feel people on social media, they're a lot different how they would act in real life because they feel that they can do whatever they want, but really everyone sees that, and I feel it'd make people nicer. Also cyberbullying is a really big issue.
Have you ever experienced anything like that?
TikTok, someone has definitely said mean things to me in my comments.
But your point is, if we had more of an emphasis on this in school, maybe it wouldn't even happen. I think it's unavoidable that it will happen on some level, no matter what, but definitely minimizing it for sure.
Okay. People are mean.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, honestly. I feel maybe it's just that it makes them feel better, or they feel bad about themselves, and they just like to be mean to other people.
Because we do talk about anti-bullying in school. There is,
we definitely do.
There's definitely a lot of that, especially I imagine at middle school level. And there's a lot of, we always encourage kids to be kind, and we always encourage kids to be positive, but that's not always something that sticks. So what do you think is a way that would work? What works for you, or what do you think would work for your friends?
About have a class on social media, because we've talked about cyberbullying. We haven't really talked about how it affects you when you're older. And I feel that's why kids choose to not let it stick with them, because they don't think that it'll affect them, but it really does. If we had a whole class on it, that it would be a lot better.
What are the effects of it, do you think?
Yeah, well, with the mental health, it's definitely a big issue. People have honestly hurt themselves, and some people have they killed themselves over social media, and it's really, it affects them a lot.
I like the way that you said how people portray themselves on the internet. Now, I know you're mentioning it in the negative way, but there's also a positive way that people portray themselves.
If you're professional, I think it could really help you get a good job.
Right. So it can work to your advantage too, for sure. Right. Okay. And what about in terms of whether it's your friends or just people that and portraying ourselves as if everything is perfect and it's perfectly filtered, perfectly posed. So what do you think that does for society or for people in general? The fact if everyone's only posting their most perfected, images and pictures and poses and experiences, what do you think the effects are of that?
I think for your friends and people that follow your social media that's not professional, I feel it's important to like show that you're not like perfect all the time. Because
Mm,
I feel like, I mean, I've definitely looked at celebrities and like felt bad about myself because they look perfect. So I think
mm.
it's like important to show that not everyone's perfect and that like it's okay to not be okay.
And I know you referenced mental health as well.
Mhm. Like mental health is mentioned in school, like it definitely is, but I feel like it should be mentioned more, especially like what we're all going through. I mean, like we all just went through like a change that we could have never prepared ourselves for. And
You're
like,
talking about the pandemic.
yeah.
Hmm.
And like for me, I went fully online, so I didn't have like any like friends during school. Like I didn't really hang out with anyone.
How did that affect you?
It affected me a lot. I mean, like mentally, like, I was really tired, and, like, that
Mm,
was definitely from, like, the pandemic, because we just focus on school and, like, being perfect in school, but we don't focus on our mental health, and for
mm,
me, mental health is more important to school than school
yeah.
because, like, if you're not okay, then you can't do well in school.
Yeah, what do you think it is about? First of all, I 100% agree, and that goes for everybody, teachers,
Mhm,
administrators, of course, students. I definitely agree with
mhm,
that. And there's definitely been more and more of a push for mental health. I think because of what happened in the pandemic, it's become even more of a topic to come to the surface. But I think what I'm noticing is that we're very good at talking around mental health, but
mhm,
I don't know if we really get into the nitty gritty of like, what are you
mhm.
really experiencing? What are you really feeling? So as a student, what is it about school that probably makes you hesitate to really talk about? I'm assuming hesitate to talk about like, look, I'm really not doing okay and I need help with this or this. Is it because like are you worried to say something? Do you feel uncomfortable saying something?
Yeah, I feel like, we don't really hear other people around us talking about it. Like,
Mm.
I wish that, like, it was more common. Like,
It
it
was more
was
part of the dialogue.
yeah, like, it was more important like, it was more common to talk about it, and, like, if it was, I feel like we'd all be able to talk about it better.
So how have you been able to deal with whatever challenges you faced,
Mhm.
given the fact that you haven't really been able to talk about it too much in school? So what have you done to help yourself?
Like, I make sure that I have, like, good relationships with my friends and, like, family and everyone like that, and also, like, sometimes I'll, like, take a mental health day.
Mm.
I've done that from school. When I'm feeling really stressed out, I just, like, don't go to school, like, it's more important that I feel okay.
It's good that you know to do that. And what are some signs? How do you recognize that you're like having a rough time or having
Like,
need a mental health day?
if I'm, like, really stressed out and I'm, like, on the point where I'm, like, just really tired, like,
Do you
mentally
have
tired.
any triggers? Like, is it usually for schoolwork? Is it with social
Yeah,
reasons? Is it family?
it's usually, like, tests and
Okay.
all that stuff, like, I have really bad, like, anxiety when it comes to tests, and that, like, really makes me, like,
Nervous.
scared and nervous, so, yeah.
Okay. I love that you're so honest about this because you're not the only one. There's so many kids, I'm sure,
Mhm.
that are going to feel so much better knowing that they're not alone in feeling that way. And I know you had shared an article with me about the impact. I think that was about how we portray ourselves.
Yeah, so it says that 79% of businesses have rejected a job candidate based on social media. So
Mm.
it says that, like, what it has to do with hate speech, images of, like, drug use,
Hmm.
poor grammar, all of those things, like, have to do with your job and how well you do in the future just because of the way that you portray yourself.
Yeah, I think a huge skill that I'm noticing come up in a lot of the conversations I've been having is being able to look at the long term and being able to
Mhm.
look into the future because I don't
Exactly.
think somebody who's in fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade is thinking, oh, when I go to apply for a job, maybe this comment that I made when I was 13 or 14 is going to
Exactly.
matter, but it
It
really
does.
makes
It
it
really
really.
does. They dig up that stuff and they find it and they will not hire you because of it.
Okay, so let's say we have the social media class.
Mhm.
So, what are maybe three things that you would make sure to include in that social media class to cover?
Well, I think we should obviously cover like how we show ourselves on the internet, like, mental health, and like what we could do to help with that, and like know what to post, kind of.
And also, I don't think that it should feel restrictive because
Yeah,
media
of
is
course.
fun and it's really great resource and it can
Hmm.
really connect people.
Just know like
Um,
what's appropriate.
exactly, just making
Yeah,
smarter choices about what you're posting. I
yeah.
think
Of course, you want to post like fun things.
exactly. And now you also mentioned other life skills that you wish you would have learned.
Like I know how they have like cooking and stuff in class, But I feel like there should be one class just about like everything that you should know, like laundry. Some people don't know how to do dishes, stuff that you need to when you live on your own.
What happened with you that's made you think, oh, I wish I had a class on this?
I didn't know how to do the dishes. Like I'm not the best at like doing dishes like until like last year. Same with like laundry and like I was like I wish I knew how to do this. I wish like my parents are working.
But you're saying that all of that should be in one course altogether. What
Yeah.
else do you think would go under that? Laundry,
Mhm.
dishes.
I think how we
Um,
handle our money is really important because as kids, I mean I'm guilty of this. We just want to spend it on like clothes that we don't need and stuff like that. But like we need to like as we're in college, like we're not gonna have as much money. We're not gonna have like our parents' money really. We're gonna be on our own and we have to know how to manage that and the right thing. Like we don't want to be getting like fast food every day.
as much fun as that would be, right?
Yeah.
When you're talking to your friends, hanging out with your friends, are there any types of life skills or social media topics that tend to come up there?
Yeah, I think like relationships like are a really important part of
Mm,
like just life. Like you have to know like how to talk to your friends and like how to have
mm,
like a good relationship with your friends. Like not even just friends, like also romantic
mhm,
relationships. Like
mhm.
there's like a lot of toxic relationships that are going on, like even in our grade, like in any grade it could happen really. Like we don't really learn about that in school as much.
What do you think are ways that you should be speaking to your friends that you're noticing maybe that's not happening? And then in terms of the romantic relationships, what are the toxic things that you're seeing?
I feel like, especially in this age, we're always feeling left out and things like that.
Mm,
We should know how to like talk to our friends about it, kind of.
mm, mhm.
Like we shouldn't just like let it happen to us, and we should
Yes,
also like make sure we're not in like a toxic friendship and like not just be friends with them because we think they're cool. Like we should be friends with people who we enjoy and not who are mean to us.
absolutely. And
So
that
that's
make you better.
also, yeah, that's also like a big part of like mental health. Like
It's
friends are
all
not
tied. Or what are some tips that you would have for someone listening to this for, let's say that they are in a toxic friendship or relationship? How do they have that conversation or how do they make choices? Or what do you think is the solution to either getting out of that situation or trying to make it better?
I think you should talk to your friends. Like it's gonna be really hard because like you don't want to lose them as a friend, but it's like really important for you to like matter. People just don't like their friends don't make them feel like they matter and like you do matter and you
Mm,
are a really intelligent, amazing person and you should definitely talk to friends or get new friends because literally there's so many people in this world that you'll be friends with other than that person and that will make you like feel good about yourself.
but I think a lot of this then ties into self-esteem, right? And your confidence, because
Yes.
if you tend to be in those relationships, friendship or romantic, you probably are maybe seeking out some type of whether it's attention or validation or wanting to feel good or wanting to prove somebody wrong, whatever the reason or motivation might be. You want to feel popular, you want to feel cool, you want to feel included, whatever it might be. But ultimately, if you really know who you are and ultimately you really know your worth, then it won't be easy, but it might be easier to step away from those situations or communicate how you feel. How do you think we can, at your age especially, how do we build self-esteem, do you think, or confidence?
I think that we can build like self-esteem by well first like hanging out with the right people first and just like making sure like you know exactly who you are. Like some people feel like for example like when you fail like a test or something that
Mm-hmm.
you're not smart, but that's
Mm,
definitely not true. I mean,
mm-mm.
like I've definitely not done the best in my math test this year. You have to like really know that you're so smart, but maybe you're
Yes.
just not good at that one subject. Like it's not a big deal. Like you're still like such a smart person and there's so much more than just failing a test.
I love what you just said about knowing who you are. And I've always found it fascinating because even for me growing up, that's something we hear from every adult. Be yourself, know who you are. But nobody ever tells us what that really means. And nobody ever really tells us how to figure that out. So,
Exactly.
what are your thoughts on that?
Being who you are is just like knowing that you're not perfect and knowing that
Mm,
like you're human. I know everyone says this, but like knowing that you're human and like you're gonna make mistakes, like that's life. Like you have to know that you're still like who like some people just think that they're like not smart or like pretty or anything like that, but literally you are, and you're worth like so much. And it like makes me so sad that people don't think that just because people are mean to them or something like that.
Absolutely. You think that we also have sides to us that need work?
Yes, definitely. I feel like everyone in this entire world has things that they could work on. Like anyone. Like no one's gonna be perfect. No one's gonna be nice all the time. And I think everyone has like an aspect of themselves that they could work on.
Do you think you know who you are, or do you think you're figuring that out? Or
I think
both?
I'm still figuring it out, but
Oh,
I think everyone's figuring it out. But as
yes, I
especially
love that.
especially like how I'm still like in middle school, like but everyone is still figuring something out about themselves like every single day.
Every single day. I'm a grown woman and I'm still figuring myself out. So
Yeah.
I totally understand. What parts of you do you think you do know about who you are?
I think I know that I'm a really kind person who just like wants the best for everyone, and I try not to be mean to anyone. And also like I tried to tell myself that I'm like really smart every day even if I like fail something. My whole thing this year was that I'm smart even if I failed math.
The more you say it in your own mind, the more it's going to become true and second nature to you. I love that. Really appreciate your time, Talia. It was so good to talk
So
to you. Yeah, keep in touch and good luck with everything, okay?
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.